Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm your boy, Jay Rodriguez here, and welcome to Vibe with Pride. I'm going to be doing this great virtual new series, and I love that I just said great because it is great. It's a new virtual series where I have really in-depth conversations with some of your favorite LGBTQ plus artists, including indie artists. It's our way of supporting them during not just the pandemic, but in life. And as you notice, many of our indie artists can't find their way to the airways, but their music is sometimes even better than what we hear from commercial radio. And as someone who has personally worked in LGBTQ plus radio before, it was always shocking to me that they wouldn't play the music of the artists that we see at Pride. And I thought that was so unfair. And so I partnered with San Diego Pride to bring you this program, Vibe with Pride. Now, my second guest, because we're in episode 2 here, is someone that I've known for over a decade. He rose to fame on American Idol and then was sent off the show under what I would consider suspicious circumstances. He is a dear friend of mine and like a kissing cousin, I would say. Ladies and gentlemen, queer fam, LGBTQ plus folks, please welcome David Hernandez. What's up, David?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
So I feel like I need dual citizenship just to watch this because you're streaming now from where you're working, which is Puerto Vallarta, and beautiful bedroom, by the way.
Thank you. You know what? I've had some generous friends lend me their places to be able to work and live in this city right now, and it's just been a blessing. So I'm super grateful. But yeah, you actually just need like a 6-month visa, really.
Oh, well, I've had generous friends who've lent me things, but nothing in the lines of an apartment. So I wish I need to know your friends. Hey, okay, so you and I have known each other for, I mean, over 10 years now. I don't know if you know, I did the math. It's about 11 years. And is this weird? Because I've had you on when I used to work in radio, we chatted, but there's no visual with radio, and so I can actually see you and look at you now. Is this weird? Are you feeling comfortable? You good?
I feel really comfortable. I mean, it's a little bit weird because I feel like you and I have had so many in-depth personal conversations over the years, so it's nothing new to me. But since other people are watching, it feels like, oh God, should we just say?
Well, let me say this
to our minds.
Yeah, let me say this for people who are watching. David and I have had conversations before. We've certainly have done, I think maybe 2 interviews on radio, but you know, you gave me permission to kind of have a no hold bar interview with you and no questions off limits. I love you so much, and you and I have witnessed each other's transition through the years, overcoming really sticky situations and really complex things that you know, you've shared, I've shared, but we've never talked about them together. So thank you for like giving us a little bit of your time here with on Vibe on Pride. I want to start with just educating people on how you got started on sort of the, you know, public level, and that would be American Idol. It was a great opportunity, and I remember seeing you and feeling like reflected because we don't look alike, but we're
you say that.
We're confused for each other sometimes, but it was the first. I was in London shooting Queer Eye, and well, you were on TV, and then I went to London, and I was following your progress, and I was so I just felt so bonded to you even before I met you, because you were Latin, you have this insane voice, and you just have a beautiful spirit. But the the experience on Idol, as beautiful as it was also really layered for you. So can you talk to me a little bit about kind of the drama that maybe some other folks don't quite know?
Yeah, well, it really just started in Phoenix, Arizona, singing with cover bands when I was 17. They would sneak me to the nightclubs, and then I'd have to be snuck immediately out. Nobody really knew my age, but they knew like this kid is not 21.
Yeah.
And then I got signed when I was 21 to Universal Music Group.
Amazing.
And when I was dropped from that label, as a lot of artists are, I was encouraged by my manager at the time to audition for American Idol, which at that time I thought American Idol was so hokey. It was just not my vibe. I
I
wasn't.
wonder about that. So artists thought that back then? Back then it was
Well,
like,
yeah.
you don't do that. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it was more like a quick track to fame versus the hard work that a struggling artist must go through. You know, so it was that kind of vibe. But no, I ended up going, and I rode with my best friend. And just to get really candid with you, my best friend was driving and I was smoking weed the whole way because I was depressed about being dropped. I knew I wasn't going to make American Idol. I had no chance. A little Latin boy from Guadalupe, Arizona, like, oh God, give me a break. So I just knew it wasn't going to happen for me. I got there, it happened for me. And it was from that moment, I was like, oh, well, I guess because I didn't give a shit, I guess it's just going to keep happening. So it just kept going and going. And I just didn't feel any stress about it until we got to the top 24. Then I felt like, oh my God, I could win this thing. I hope nobody finds out that I like boys. And then everyone found out I like boys, which is probably another question you have for me later. But
well, I can ask you now, how did they find out that you liked boys? Because by the way, that would have been information that I would have really liked to know at the time. So I could have deepened my crush on you when I saw you on Idol.
Well, let me just also say before I say how they found out that I used to watch your show secretly as a little boy, like I think I was maybe, I don't, we're not that much different in age, but I remember having, I had to shut it off when my dad walked in from the,
well, it's so funny because the show was called Queer Eye 4, the Straight Guy season 1. So technically it would have been for you, but carry on.
But I think my dad and mom always kind of knew what was up. So it wasn't, they knew why I was watching if they would have caught me. So, but anyway, so thank you for saying that you saw me and you saw a little bit of yourself in me, because I saw a little bit of myself in you as well. But they found out because during the top 12, Perez Hilton and Access Hollywood, Perez Hilton was the first one actually who outed me publicly and for my former profession as a stripper and also for being a gay man. And then all the media outlets caught on to that and it just became this public shaming moment. And I don't, you know, I've never really been like a martyr or like, oh my God, like the woe is me. But looking back, like it was very much shaming when shaming wasn't really a thing to be fought at that time. So, you know, looking back, I'm like, wow, like I really wish that people or entities would have came to my defense, but you know, I had to clap for my damn self and move on past it. And I had great family to help, but yeah, it was not a cute look to be outed when you're not ready to be.
It's so funny to me because it's so layered, right? Because the gay thing, we can talk about that in a minute, but the stripper thing, like I've known you for, like I said, over a decade. And you're not like the first one on the dance floor. You're never really, you're kind of like me. We go out in public spaces, but we're never really looking to be the center of attention, which is, I think a lot of performers are like that. We're just like, we perform on stage, but we don't really want to be on blast any other time. So it's actually kind of interesting and hard for me to like imagine you and your best like Channing Tatum Magic David self. Like that's kind of weird for me to process, but because I know
my name on the dance floor or on the strip was Caden with a K. I was Caden. You know, and I chose that name because I always wanted my firstborn son to be named Caden, and now it's just ruined. Obviously, I can't name him Caden.
Meanwhile, during this interview, we are going to see your firstborn son, which is your dog, not named Caden.
No, not named Caden.
So it was, what year was, can you bring me back? What year was it that you left the show?
I left the show in 2008. It was May of 2008. It was after the finale. My contract was up 3 months later. And then I just started working. A lot of it was Michael Orland, who helped me, put me in a promoter named Scott Stander, who put me on like several tours. So I got really, really lucky, but I was also really, really driven. Like I would show up, I was that kid that would show up to like every single like red carpet, every single party. I would talk to everyone. I still do that. Like I just enjoy being social, but not being the center of attention when it comes to those things. I just like, I'll walk it and then I'll be like, okay, we're good. So I'm going to go mingle now. I want to be normal. So, I mean, yeah, you nailed it when you said that.
Well, I think, you came out publicly a couple years ago. It wasn't necessarily news for your inner circle, but, it was a big step for you because
Yeah,
along your path, which I was there for, you had several people in entertainment in all spheres, from management to people who work in the music industry to even, I'm sure, friends who were in your ear telling you it would
yeah,
be career suicide if you came out of the closet. Why did you
yeah.
ultimately decide it was the right time for you to come out? And when you did come out, what do you think your biggest fear was in that moment?
Well, the biggest fear was what they were saying would happen, which didn't end up happening. But at that time,
What
I had
was
been
that, by the
conditioned.
way?
Your career is going to be over. You're not going to get booked anymore. You're not going to have fans. No one's going to listen to you. They have this idea of who they think you should be, and you should really play to that, which
Hmm.
now it sounds ludicrous. Like, why have someone love you for who you're not? I would rather you hate me for who I am, right? That famous
Oh,
quote. But the reason that I decided to come out was much bigger than myself, Jay. Honestly, like I had so many fans from 2008 up until now, up until the point I came out in 2016 publicly, that were little kids in the middle of nowhere, and whether it was here or the United States, that would say like, I'm a gay boy and or I'm a gay girl and you really inspire me. Like, what made you comfortable with your sexuality? And truth be told is that I never really got personal with them and said that I was gay. And that really pains me because years later I found out that some of those people had either taken their own lives or been murdered because of who they were in these towns. And so for me, coming out in 2016 was really a responsibility. I felt like, how can I sit here and kind of like play to this audience that I'm this like pop guy that's, was on American Idol, but yet like I'm not showing all of myself. And I'm not saying you have to show all of yourself all the time, but that's a huge chunk of who you are. Like being
yeah.
gay and or being, that's just, I mean, yeah, it's a portion of me, but in the times that we're in right now, I think it's really important to stand up and speak of the voices that don't have a platform. And so that's why I really came out. And people, I got so many supportive comments, but then I got a few hateful ones, which we always read. And they were like, oh, he's just doing it for publicity, as if I needed it at that point. Like, it was so stupid. And people are always going to be negative and hateful. But my whole motivational, my whole motive for that moment was really just to inspire those little kids that didn't think they could do that, because the world, since the beginning of their time, has said, if you're gay, like, you can't be a pop star, or you can't sell records, or you can't even just make music, like, or you
Right.
can't be beautiful, or you can't have a husband or a wife. Like, that was so important to me. And I think it really clicked in 2016 for me when I recorded Beautiful and the music video.
Yeah, and I love that music video. I know that when we first met, full disclosure, because we're just putting everything on the table. I remember being so angry that you were closeted and playing prides, and here I was out
Yeah,
and hustling to try to get in prides. And this is before I really knew you. I just kind of knew you socially. And having known you for so long now and seen your organic journey of
yeah,
self-discovery. And by the way, our journey and our opportunity to be our most authentic self and share that publicly is in our timing. It's not
yeah,
someone else's call to say when someone is ready or when it's safe for someone else to come out. So I've just
absolutely.
gotten, yeah, I've gotten to really experience it firsthand, and it's so beautiful because our conversations have gone from your fear around it to your passion
Yeah,
about sharing who you are and saying you can be whomever you'd like to be and how you want to present and still put forth
yeah,
really impactful music, right? And
yeah,
you'd be hard pressed to find a whole lot of relatable, you'll see them at Pride, out, Latinx queer artists that have been around as long as you have. And so do you think that impacted the coming out moment in your life? Did that impact the music and any kind of the visuals that would accompany the music?
you mean coming out at that point?
Yeah, like coming out, did it free you
Yeah,
in your lyric writing, and did it free you in your music videos? Like, do you still
yeah.
have to, in this present day, defend your identity to people who want to chime in about your creativity?
I don't really defend that. No,
Good.
I don't really
Good.
defend that anymore. I just don't feel the need to. I kind of just shut that down when it happens, unless it's somebody that really needs it sort of to be educated that I feel like will receive it. I don't really play to those audiences anymore, and I have such a great support system. But I
Mm.
will say that like even seeing your evolution has been pretty ridiculously amazing, because even when I see on your live streams, like you're so, can I cuss on here?
I mean, listen, no one told me no. I'm waiting for the private chat to blow up with them. Be like,
You're
no!
so
We'll bleep it
fucking
out later when we
comfortable.
post it.
You're so comfortable in your own skin, and it's so inspiring. It's made me comfortable in my own skin watching you, not just this year, but also the years before. Like, and I remember meeting you for the first time, and you weren't as comfortable as you are now. And it's just such a great thing. I remember Oprah saying one time, like, I didn't start feeling beautiful until I was 50. And like, I just hope that I can feel that way sooner. But if it happens at
Yeah.
50, great. But I still have my
Yeah.
insecurities and stuff. But
Well,
I
I do
don't think I've
too.
ever been more comfortable than I am now, for
And I
sure.
think
Like,
that,
without a doubt.
yeah, and I think you and I, because of the societal comparisons, have always kind of like, you know, uplifted each other and also been inspired by each other. But moreover, it's sometimes, you know, it's tricky being an out queer man in the society that tells you, you know, there's certain parameters. And when it
Yep.
came to like music and sexuality, I think part of the impetus that was driving folks to tell you stay closeted is because when you're Latin, there's, as an actor, there's like a handful of roles, and Latin Lover is right up on there. And I'm sure it's the same with music. We need him to be accessible for people to fantasize about. I will tell you this, and to all my Jaybirds watching, all my fam who are my virtual happy hour clan that I have every day on my Facebook every afternoon. They're from all over the world, and there's a bunch of women who know the full you know, spectrum of my queer existence, and they still
think you're sexy.
Yeah, and they're comfortable sharing that, and I'm comfortable hearing it.
Listen, Adam Lambert has such a mixed fan base, and women of all ages still want to get in his pants, no matter if he's gay or not. I think it's so important to change this, just like we change everything in hundreds of millions of years or whatever. But to stop letting people create this narrative for us, you know, that you have to be the heartthrob for just the women or just the men. Like, you don't have to be anything. Like, you can just be in your art and your craft and still be successful, and people will still like you. And the ones that put you in a box, like, they're still stuck back in the day. Like,
that's right.
The racist
I agree.
guys
I'm not trying to go backwards with things. I'm trying to go forward. We gotta go forward. We're in this global pandemic.
Listen, I know it's really hard to sit here and to be the first to speak, whether it's you or me or anybody else, to say, like, you know what, I'm not gonna subscribe to that theory. I'm not gonna subscribe. I know it's difficult, but the more of us that do it, the more that we can see change, not just for ourselves, but for the generations that come. And I think that that's really important about the younger generation now, is that, like, they're ruling the world. So if you're not cool with non-binary or trans or any of the above, like,
any
you're
people
just
that fall within the parameters of our community, or any human, let's just say that,
right, exactly,
then you're out
get with it. You got to get with it, because it's changing rapidly.
If I can pivot to the pandemic, everything has been challenging and different, and you and I, when we are not, when you're not making an album or doing massive concerts, you're touring and doing your cabaret show, as am I. We are at our core live performance oriented entertainers, and that is slowed the heck down since this pandemic has started. And for me, I just started going live on my verified Facebook page and developing this audience, and I started a website, but you managed to write music, put out music videos. So how has this pandemic, if you could be specific, really impacted your career? Because I want people to know from an indie artist who thrives when the world is open and you're doing, really well and everything was beautiful. How are you maintaining that? Because you're producing such incredible art, and the caliber is so good,
Yeah, well, thank you, Jay. It looks better than it is, to be honest. Social media is very deceiving.
Sure.
It's in the beginning of the pandemic, I was drinking a lot and I was sleeping a lot, and I was really I had no direction. I didn't really, because every week there was another 2 or 3 gigs being canceled. I lost almost $60,000 this summer within the course of 3 months. And I'm sure you can relate, but
I'm like, that's my annual salary,
No, I mean, let's be honest, but whatever.
It
That's not
depends
true.
on the year, but I mean, like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's a
exactly.
lot of money. No, but it's a lot of money
But
to
it's a
lose,
lot of
and
money.
yeah,
It's a lot of money. And because after that, I don't work for 4 or 5 months. So,
right.
you save that
Wait,
money. It's not
explain
what
that for
people think.
people because we're here on San Diego Pride's page. I think what's important for people to understand is that like a
Yeah.
lot of entertainers in this space make money during the Pride circuit, and they
Yeah.
tour with that, and yeah, yeah.
And I love how our community shows up for us. It's amazing. But when when we're in a pandemic, it sucks. But yeah, so you make like a chunk of money in that frame of 3 or 4 months, and then you're not working until maybe a few Christmas shows in December. And then, as in Jay's case, you get booked for a pilot the following year, but then you don't see that money for 3 months. So people think that because you're in the public eye, like that you're not getting the cash flow right away, and also you're not taking into account there's a lot of taxes too. So
Oh,
there's
please
that.
get
So
agent, manager, businessman.
oh
There's so
yeah,
many expenses. And I always
and
say for
then the
me,
government.
like I'm
Yeah,
getting such traction about my new HBO Max series called Equal about unsung queer heroes.
yeah.
Beautiful. But it was $650 for a day. And they shot all my scenes in one day. And people don't get that because they see it on TV and you're like 10%
Yeah.
agent, 10% manager, 5%. It's a whole thing. And that's why. So one of my biggest passions was when I was working in radio, a gay station or LGBTQ plus station, I was really discouraged because it's a corporation, it's corporate America, that they didn't
Yeah.
want to play or have add in rotation indie artists. I think that's
Hmm.
a miss. I think your songs, your music sound like if I didn't know, that you weren't some signed artist who had done the VMA 16 times, I wouldn't know. You're the caliber of what
Yeah.
you produce is so good. So how can we shift that as a society? Like, how can we talk to queer media spaces and encourage them that Pride should not be the only place we get to hear these insanely talented artists?
I think like I said earlier, I think it starts with you being brave and speaking out on it on TV is so powerful. When you say something, if you think someone's not listening, but a lot of people are listening and reposting and sharing that same sentiment, even if they're not crediting you on that sentiment. I think the more you speak out, and like I think Ryan Murphy said, if you hide in the dark, then you're not protected by your community,
Ooh,
right? Like he said that in the season 3 of The Coven. He said that. He's so brilliant. But
yes.
I think it's the same thing. It's like when you don't speak out and you silence yourself, it's really hard. In the beginning of this whole pandemic, like I remember thinking like, oh my God, like I don't even know how I'm gonna shoot anything, or I don't even feel inspired to write. Well, I don't know what happened, but like we just kept going. Me and Arno Diem and my boyfriend Derek Caldera. It was like the dream team, just us three. And then I reached out to a couple, like my friend Art Khan styled me for one of the things, like virtually styled me. Like I showed him what I had in my closet, and he was like, yeah,
Yes,
that
with
looks good. No,
this.
that looks,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so it was kind of cool to know that we can actually work like that. It was
Yeah.
eye-opening. And so we put out, we did Sorry. I did True Colors with Jacqueline Lord. Then I did Boomerang after that. And then I did Kingdom more recently. And it
Great.
just, for me, it wasn't about like getting signed again or I hope someone notices me, but it was literally like my only savior for my mental health. Like
Yes.
I had to do something. And then I learned how to record in my own apartment, in my own bedroom. I learned how to do that, like, which was so dope for me because I'm like, I never wanted to do that. So it's just been, as bad as this year has been, and I know we've lost so many lives and stuff, but we have to keep pushing forward. And the only way you can is just to continue to do what you love to do.
I
I
agree.
mean, the same
And
way that you've done it, and the
yeah,
way we do live streams every week, you do them every day. Like it's nuts. Like,
I
and it takes
know.
so
I
much
mean,
out of you. I get so sad sometimes.
thankfully, I only perform once a week on Mondays, but like it's crazy. And as
Well,
an indie artist,
you were doing every day, I thought, for a minute.
every single day I'm live. I only perform on Mondays. I think I was
Got
doing
it.
Monday,
Okay.
Thursdays, like a show on Thursday, and just like a human jukebox on Monday. I got rid
You
of
were
the
like the
show and just
candle at both ends.
yes, and I just yeah.
You
But as
know.
an indie artist, how does all this happen? I think you kind of just tackled it, but like how does this happen without a label? It's just you're beg borrowing and stealing and just asking for, because a lot of people see the after and they assume, ooh, she got coin. She done paid a
No.
million people to do all this stuff, but that's not really the way it goes down.
I got to say, there's two things that have gotten me through this pandemic and through the financial aspects of this. One has been my videographer, Arno Diem, has been there, been super supportive and has worked with me. And my budget, I know he is ridiculously talented and can charge so much, but he's like a brother to me. and he believes in my talent. That's the first thing. The second thing is I'm able to do all these things because of my live streams every Sunday.
That's
I
great.
have so many generous people that donate. I have regular people that are like, hey, listen, what's your next project? Can I be a part of it, even if it's only a few $100s? And then I say, well, you know what? I want to offer you producer credit on that, or executive producer credit, depending on what you're contributing. But really, at the end of the day, the live streams, everyone contributes, whether it's 10, 20, 30, up 1,000, whatever it is. Like, people, that money is being dumped right back into my art. And I just want to say, for the record, like, you see me in Mexico, I'm working a part-time job for well, it's full-time, but it's a remotely full-time job with the company Mister, which is a prep company. And I'm literally not just at the beach all day. Like, I'm on my computer from 9 to 5, sometimes 9 to 6, and we're, you know, helping make people's lives better by advocating them on HIV and how to prevent it and how to, you know, be careful with your body. So, you know, perception is everything, right? And social media has a tendency to do that, but I'm not out here just like, yes, thank you for your money.
No,
I'm
I know,
like,
because I
you
know when
like,
you don't
it's
return
not
texts, I'm like, oh, he's at work.
So
how have
literally,
how has been performing there? You do a great virtual show with Encanto, which is a cabaret space in Puerto Vallarta. I have, like, I didn't even need to drag, just inform my Facebook crowd to come support you Sunday nights, I believe it is, at Encanto. How is the tone for, what's the vibe for artists who are down there who are fearful of their future? Because many of them, you know, like me and you, tour the cabaret circuit, and we go there for the winter. And this year I'm not going to be there, but what's the vibe down there like for you and the other artists?
Well, I only did a couple of shows at Encanto because I'm only here for a limited amount of time. And I also, like I said, I work. So that has kind of, I'll come back again probably for New Year's, and hopefully I can have the honor to be on their stage again. But the vibe for everyone here, and it's kind of sad because I came here, everything was kind of open, and then the government shut it all down again, much like other parts of the world. And so everything has to shut down by 8 p.m., including tonight. So, and it's already way past 8 p.m. now, but so all the performers now have been moved to like 5 p.m. slots, which is a little bit of a different vibe when the sun's full out and you're at a bar. You know, it's not the same thing. So a lot of people are struggling, and the pay is not the same down here for a lot of the local artists. And it just sucks because, you know, we went months for being locked down here in Puerto Vallarta, and then it opened back up and people were like, oh my God, like, you know, now we can get people to come, and then bam, it shut down a week and a half after we got here. So the vibe is very like, can this be over yet? Much like the rest of the world.
So listen, and by the way, if you're watching this live stream right now, I'd like to let you know that there are, we're going to be taking your questions in just a couple minutes here. So you can go ahead and type those into the comments section, and I'll ask David everything you want to know. So Boomerang, you released that, and then Kingdom. Can you tell a little bit about both of those? I mean, so many people are familiar with Beautiful. I think one of the most beautiful, pun intended, things was to actually have you sing that song somewhere, I can't remember where we were, and look out into the audience and people knew the lyrics. And that's like, that's crazy to me, like hearing your friend's song on the radio for the first time.
Yeah, that was the first moment since American Idol when I released that I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. And I remember one of the first tweets I got was from my friend Tadra Call, and he was like, beautiful message, loved all of it. It feels good to get encouragement from your peers. So but your other question was Boomerang and Kingdom, right? So Boomerang was actually written by my good friend Trent Park and Davis Brown. Trent had sent me a song, and he said, hey, listen, like, if you want to drop like a summer bop, let me know. And I heard it, and immediately I was like, this
we're playing
really
it
well
now,
on my
and
voice.
so everyone's watching it as you're talking about it.
Yay!
They're watching
and
it.
So then I was like, well, how do I shoot a video during a pandemic that doesn't look boring? Because the song is anything but boring. And so I got a few of my friends that were already quarantined with me in this tight circle. And we shot it in Palm Springs. We all drove up to Palm Springs. My good friend let us use all of our houses, all of his houses, and we shot it there. And it was a long, like,
all his houses. We have different kind of friends. Like my friends are like me and you. We're like hustlers. I need to know your friends, because my
David
friends ain't got
Rios.
houses.
No. They sure do, Jay. Don't start with me. David, David Rios, he's a real estate agent, and he has a few houses in Palm Springs that are just gorgeous.
I
That
think
are
I know
some
David
are,
Rios, by the way.
yeah, you probably do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I met him through my roommate DC Kenneth, and we met literally at like a party at my friend Katura's house, and I was like, I want to shoot this video, and he was like, oh well, just come use my house. And I was like, but also I have people that are going to drive out. He's like, they can stay at my house. I'm like, oh my God, the blessings upon blessings that have come so unexpectedly have been overwhelming. So we shot it in a 16-hour day. It was so hot, like 105 degrees, dry heat. You know how that feels.
Yeah.
Shot the whole video. By the end of that day, I wanted to pass out, but it came out so cool with the dancers, and I learned like a 1/8 count, which is unheard of for me.
And you killed it.
Yo, honey, I killed the 8 count. I was trying so hard.
What is it, Kendon? What's the name again?
Oh.
Hamden.
But yeah, but no, so it was cool, and that was, you know, that was the beginning of, like, I think opening my mind, not opening, but like changing my mindset to be like, you know what, things aren't so bad. You have all this love around you. I had Michaela out there. I had, you know, so many great friends of mine that I didn't think were going to be able to show up, and they made it. So
I love it.
And then yeah.
And also just furious I was not asked to be a part of it. Now listen, Pride celebrations have been happening differently this year, either virtually or they've all been canceled. So I guess my question is, what do you miss most about those experiences? It's kind of different for us. I host a bunch of prides, and I'm fortunate enough to perform at some prides, and but it's a real specific, it's different than attending when you're performing.
Yeah.
You know, it's a different beast, and so I guess, you know, like, real talk, like, what do you miss most?
What I miss most about prides is how every single time I do one, the crowds get younger and younger, and I see more heterosexual couples with their babies coming out, and I feel like the world's actually changing, and I feel like it's a love fest, and there's no one there that's malicious or wants to cause harm or wants to spew negative comments. And it's just, I mean, if you have never been to a pride, like, you have to go. I don't care what gender or what sexual orientation you are. It's just, literally, I remember doing one in Boise, Idaho 4 years ago, and it was right after Pulse. I literally was crying on stage because when I came out, the roars were crazy. And I knew the roars weren't all for me, but they were for the fact that we were still standing and supporting. And no matter what someone has tried to do to diminish our community, we were still there, like, you know what, like, fuck you. Like, we're going to do this no matter what. Yeah. And so that for me, that's what I miss about Pride, is that like, that feeling of like, yeah, like, we're all here together. My faces are painted, and like, we have pride things on, like, girls, like, boobs are out with like tape all over them. Like, I don't know, just like, it's a cool experience.
Well, I just want to take this moment to say that, you know, if you're watching this right now and you feel inspired by this conversation, and you know David's music, or you've seen it and you want to support queer artists, LGBTQ plus artists, please start, you know, taking the impetus to calling your local radio stations or the LGBTQ plus radio stations you know of, and letting them know that you, the audience, would really be open to hearing music from people like David Hernandez. You know, after so many years of what we experienced in the suppression, you know, and you know this, that I had artist development deal at Epic and another one at Columbia during Queer Eye, and it was in spite of the fact that I was gay. It was a non-issue because I was already out so hard. And unfortunately, due to the management I had, it all went down the drain because they didn't want artist development for me. And I feel like that's what I'm thankful for. The past 15 years, I've grown and developed, and I know who I am. I have a point of view now. But this industry that you're in, the music industry, mainstream music, do you think that after years of suppressing LGBTQ plus voices, that there has been a shift? Do you feel that?
Yeah, absolutely. You look at the major artists and even the indie artists, there's been so many that can now use the correct pronouns for their lives. And I think that's powerful. Sam Smith, his new album, I love his new album. And I loved his last album. And I love Troye Sivan. And I love Ricky Martin. And I love so many other, I love my friend Gaddison. Like, I mean, there's so many artists that are now getting a voice because of social media, whether they're signed or not, that I think is so special. And I'm so grateful to live in a time like this because, you know, 15 years ago, it really wasn't the case.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna ask you some rapid fire questions, just some silly
Oh
ones.
shit. Okay,
Just
go ahead.
silly ones. Okay.
Okay.
What do you have on your pizza?
Ooh, I'm basic when it comes to pizza. I love pepperoni and cheese. That's
Okay.
it.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of like the bell peppers and the onions. I'll eat them in like a drunken moment, but I just like pepperoni.
What is your favorite cocktail, and what's your favorite non-alcoholic drink?
Cocktail, I love a good bottle of red wine
Okay.
on the weekday. And then on the
Yeah.
weekend, I kind of tend towards more of a tequila moment, tequila soda,
Ooh.
or a spicy margarita skinny.
Ooh. Yeah.
That so those are my two. Those are my two little
Okay.
go-betweens. Non-alcoholic, I would say. Ooh, I love like a real a fresh made. Oh my god, why am I drawing a blank now? Not tangerine,
I
but
don't know. I was like, and he's doing this. I'm like, what's this?
you know what, tangerine juice works. Let's do that.
Tangerine.
But any kind of juice that's fresh made, and we've had so many of those in Puerto Vallarta that I'm
Hmm.
obsessed. And they're not that
Okay.
like no sugars. They have like the pulp in them, and I love that.
Okay. And then what would you say would be
Grapefruit. Sorry, grapefruit juice. That God.
grapefruit juice? Got it.
There
Got
we
it.
go.
Got
All
it. Got it. And what is your favorite? If you had to like pick your favorite thing to wear, is it a certain color? Are you a jeans guy? Are you a shorts guy? Are you a tank top guy? What's like your like go-to iconic David Hernandez look?
I think most people would agree it's a tank top. I like being as naked as possible. It's just freeing. You know, I don't really wear underwear. I wear jeans and
I
a
didn't know
tank top.
that.
Like I,
You don't wear
yeah, I
underwear?
don't. No, it's a new thing. It's happened in like 3 months, the
Oh,
last
okay.
3 months.
Mexico.
Yeah, it's Mexico,
You
and I
have to
also
care for
like
your
it's just
WAP, guys. You have to care for your WAP.
well, and also like you think about the money you spend on underwear, right? And
That's
you
true.
know,
That's real. That's real.
but no. So that I would say people think my tank tops are the most like common thing for me to wear, expected.
Okay, and then I'll shift
That's
to a
why I
little
did
bit
this
more.
today because I was like, I'm gonna impress people today. I'm gonna wear a tank or a collar today.
I'll shift to this this
Go ahead.
question. I know that you have a lot of people around you who are so supportive and are just part of what fuels your fire. Um, who in your family do you look to, or your friends circle, your family of choice? Who would you say has been kind of, your rider outside of your boyfriend? I know your boyfriend, but your
Yeah.
family, someone that has really been there for you. Being an out gay person who's gone through everything you've gone through.
Yeah.
Who's your person in your family, if you have one?
Um. God, that's such a hard question because both my parents are incredible, and I have my dad's girlfriend who's also amazing, and then of course, my mom is like my best friend, and my mom, I would have to say my mom and my dad are both incredible, but my mom was the first person who allowed me to really be me. I mean, I was like 6 years old and I wanted to dress up as a bumblebee, I remember, and it was like yellow tights and the bumblebee outfit. And I came home from school that day, and I remember preschool that day, and I was crying because all the kids teased me, and she was like, "Baby, you can be anything you want to be." And that has always just stuck with me through my whole life.
Yeah.
And more recently, like I want to not recently, but like 10 years ago, my dad and I have become really, really close. And he has a girlfriend, soon to be wife, who's very spiritual, believes in God, and we always have these pep talks with each other that are incredible. And I think that I've been able to open her mind to the LGBTQ community as well. And so
Mhm.
that's been a really rewarding relationship for me. But yeah, and then my late grandmother. So there's so many, I don't think there's one person attributed for it, but me and my mom were like ride or die growing up. We were always just her and I before my sister was born. And it was just like my mom, if you ever meet her, she is unapologetically herself. She's feisty.
I've met your mom.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I was literally queuing that question up, hopeful that you would say your mom, because I
Yeah.
just think first of all, she looks like your sister.
She does. Yeah, she does.
She
They're both
does.
gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
she's
love her.
gorgeous, but also she's just, I think seeing your mom at a gay bar was, that was for me
Yeah.
just something that I don't think I'll ever experience in my lifetime. But it was
Yeah.
it was a beautiful moment of not tolerance, full blown acceptance of the
Yeah.
fullness of who you are. Not because she was at a gay bar, but it was also an open mic night, and just seeing someone's mom appreciate
Yeah.
and relish in the beautiful gift that is your voice was just like, wow, it was such a crazy moment. And I want to end this little rapid fire with, they announce your name, or you're being sent off Idol. What would David now say to David then?
Oh my God. I would like, baby boy, you are more than enough. You are fine. If you even knew what was ahead of you in the next 15 years, you would just go back to your dressing room, pack up your stuff, give everyone a hug, and go home with a smile on your face. 100%. That's not what happened. But I just
What
was
did
crying,
happen?
oh my God, so I was just like, people thought I was mad, but I really wasn't. I was trying to stop from crying on television. So I went back to the dressing room, and my mom was already blowing me up, and I answered, I think it was like a Motorola Razor at the time. And I was like, hello. And she was like, it's okay. And I was just like, ah! And all the security guards, were around me, and they were just like, oh God. And I was like, I couldn't catch my breath, honestly. And then finally we talked, her and I we both couldn't catch our breath. And we finally talked each other down, and then I hung up the phone, and then I got my stuff, and I went back to the hotel. And then I think I had a flight out the next couple of days or something. But then I went right back, and now I've been in Hollywood for how long? So it all worked
Over
out.
10
But
years.
I wrote a song called Dear My Future Self, because I always hate looking back and being like, well, what would you tell yourself? Because that's too late. But like, what would you tell your future self? I think is let's get ahead of the situation.
Yeah. I love that. That's beautiful. And you and I have both had, real tricky upbringings and tricky times. And we didn't have the internet at the palm of our hand. There was no iPhones when we were kids, but there may be kids watching this now who know exactly who you are, who see themselves reflected for the first time in your music.
Yeah.
And what would you say to these kids who maybe they can't reach out, whatever, but if they're at home, they can't even go to school and be with their queer friends. They're with family who maybe doesn't see them, or it's not even safe to be out, but every night they listen to Beautiful and they feel seen. What would your message to these kids be?
Well, first of all, you're not going to make me cry right now.
I'm not trying to.
You're going to. That's a really hard question for me, because I don't like to tell people like it'll get better or just hang in there. It just feels too trite to me. The thing that really, it's so hard, Jay. The thing that really has worked for me throughout my life is fantasizing about like what could be. I've always been a dreamer. And to know that I was going to get out of the little town I grew up in, and I believe that within myself. It wasn't always easy for me, but I looked at other artists that I knew were queer or verging on queer, like George Michael or
So many,
Ricky Martin. Like there's so many, I can't think of all of them now, but I looked at them and I always George, David Bowie, Elton John. I mean, there's so many, and I would just look at them and think like, well, why not me? Like they weren't the quintessential idea of what a pop star should be, but for some reason people gravitated towards that, which meant that there was still love and acceptance and hope for all those things, and it just motivated me. So what I really do say to people, I was asked this question I think like 6 months ago in an interview, like, what would you say to your kid, to a kid in the middle, like they say the Midwest or like a small little town? Like I always say, I do say hang in there sometimes, but also as soon as you can get out, get out. As soon as you can get out. Like there's so many other people in the world that are part of your community that you can find, and you might not see it now within these confines of your world, but there are people in these other bubbles, right? That are so accepting and will let you flourish, and don't give up, and don't think about taking your life as an alternative, or anything, drugs, alcohol.
And what you did was dream big, dream big, and know that we are here waiting for you, to like push you out of line to get a drink at the bar because we're older.
I hope that people find that. I hope that people find that one person in their life, whether it's a family member or not. It doesn't have to be, because sometimes your family is the ones that you choose.
Yeah.
But I hope you find that one person in your life that believes in you and you hold on to them for dear life,
Yeah.
because they're the only cheerleader you will ever, ever, ever need. Like, you don't need all this. You just need
Uh-huh.
that one person to help you get out of where you're at, or to
Well,
get you
David,
to where you want to be.
we have some questions from our
Okay.
audience, our virtual audience. I'll jump to this one, but do you have a drink near you?
I have a little glass of wine that I
You
can put
might
in
want to
there.
just have a sip for this one.
Okay, hold on. Okay. I'm already tearing up right now, Jay. Why are you doing this to me? All
Because
right.
I love you.
I
Okay,
love you too.
ready?
Okay.
How do you feel about I didn't ask this. How do you feel about Perez Hilton now? Do you hold any animosity toward him for outing you? I'll start. I do, because I think outing someone is absolute and utter BS. And, you know, I just personally feel like it was the wrong, most disgusting thing, and putting people's life or security at risk is trifling. But I wasn't in that situation. You know, I all the things I did to come out, I kind of just blamed it on the work. I'm playing this character, but also I am this character. That's me. How do you feel about the press situation now?
Well, I always say this: hate harms the vessel that carries it more than the vessel it was intended to harm.
Yeah.
So the more that you hold on to that, the more it eats you alive. One thing I will say, and because it's a double thing for me, but I ran into Perez Hilton at it was like some red carpet party, and I remember getting drunk and screaming at him from across the room with my best friend, and she was holding me back, and I was like, "F you for ever saying all of
Good.
that," and like, "You did this, and you're a shitty human." And I remember doing that, and he looked over at me, and he had like his little team, and you just started laughing, and I was like, "Yeah." And so years later, I'm like, I don't operate that way anymore, just because he probably didn't even know what the hell was going on. I mean, he moves on from one negative subject to the next so quickly. You know, he doesn't realize the destruction he's leaving in his past. So to answer the question is like, no, I don't harbor any hate for him anymore. I really hope that he's found a good place for himself. But I hear that he has found God and all that stuff, and that's not even about that for me. It's like, just be a good fucking human.
Yeah, and to that I'd be
And
like,
keep
where was
going with
God
that.
hiding? I don't know where God was hiding.
I mean,
Hey, so what about this is another question, and that question was from Zachary Robertson, by the way, who is
hey, Zach.
one of the Jaybirds. Do you still connect with any of your Idol alum?
Yeah. Michaela Gordon, Blake Lewis,
Wait,
Hayden
who's that first person?
Reinhardt.
Who's the first one?
You know
Michaela
Michaela.
Gordon. I
Yeah,
just
you feel
texted.
on
I
that.
honestly, our big thing is Michaela and I text over Kamala Harris, who any L Word viewers. Apparently, she looks like Bette Porter, which is Jennifer Beals' character on the L Word. And
Oh my
so
God.
I brought Michaela to meet Kamala a year ago, right now at the Abbey, because I knew she was doing a walkthrough unannounced, and Michaela did everything short of humping her leg, because she was so enamored with her. So when she when she was the VP pick, I did message Michaela Gordon. I was like, we did this. Anyway, but who
That's
else? You talked to
amazing.
Michaela, a bunch of the
I
other
love me.
folks. Anyway, is it all
Um,
your season, or is once you're an idol,
no,
are you
no,
all
no.
connected?
No. We're all connected. We do so many gigs together. Once you get done, you get booked on so many, like, God rest her soul, Nikki McKibben. She just recently
Yeah.
passed away. Again, Michaela, but then Brandon Rogers. I've done shows with Rudy Cardenas. I got Effie Passero as my singing partner. We have a group
I
together called
love
Second
Effie.
Hour.
Yeah.
God, there's so many. I can't remember them all right now. But yeah, the answer is yeah. I do connect with all of them. The ones that have been really closest to my heart have been definitely Michaela over the years. Effie,
Yeah.
Bonzel Solomon, Trinice Cobbins. There's so many. It's
I
just,
love
you share
Trini's.
that
Oh, we did.
experience. It's really,
Yeah.
it's a rare experience to share
I
with
gotta
only
tell you,
like,
I wish the Queer Eye moment was like that, because there's 10 of us total if you count just my cast and the new cast, and that's not even
yeah.
Queer Eye for the Straight Girl or any other of the countries. But I wish our tribe would take a page from the Idol book, because I think we're stronger together. But someone's asking,
Yeah.
what is your favorite song to perform? I know your songs are probably like your babies, but do you have a favorite, and why?
I get tired of everything. Um, I really do.
That's
But
from Sheila Clark.
hi, Sheila Clark. Um, oh, Jennifer Ruiz asked a lot. Hi, Jennifer Ruiz.
Yeah.
Sheila Clark. So my favorite song to perform, I would say the ones that you guys really, really want to hear, because I get tired of everything, but you inspire me to sort of to sing it again, because I do the same, and then I tend to reinvent them every time. So I would say It's All Coming Back to Me Now. Papa Was a Rolling Stone. Another one would be probably Tennessee Whiskey. I don't know, just stuff with like soul in it. Like I love soul
Yeah.
music. Yeah.
Will you also add soul where the original artist may have lacked it? You definitely infuse it in your versions, which I appreciate. And I'll end with this one. This one is asking, do you have any advice for someone struggling to come out? It took you a minute and you did it in your own terms. So like, I guess, do you have any advice for someone struggling to come out?
Well, my coming out story really fast was it was my first boyfriend. We dated for 2 years. My family knew nothing about it. I lived a completely double life. And when we broke up, I called my mom and I was like, "Mom, my heart's been broken." And she was like, "Well, what's her name, baby?" And I said, "Shane." And she was like, "Oh, okay." So that was my coming out story. And then after that, it was like, whatever, David's gay. But my advice would be, again, like I said about being in a small town, is like find that one person that really supports you and loves you and tell them, because I know it hurts to hold all that in and not be really who you are.
Yeah.
And that's just the first start. And if you're in a position to where you can fend for yourself and, pay your own rent and your own food and stuff, then just be unapologetic about it. If you want to tell your mom, I would say do it in a way that's like, graceful. I mean, it's not like you have to be like, and F you, like I'm gay,
Right.
You can have the conversation depending on everyone's parents are different though.
Yeah. And I always say to people, like, as long as it took you to figure out your own journey and your own identity, allow some grace and some time for your parents to also have their own coming out experience, because they have to go through, I thought I knew my child and I still do, but they're sharing something that is catching me off guard and now I need to adjust, and that takes time and growth and patience.
Also give yourself some grace too, because the feelings you're feeling might be kind of immediate and you don't know how to articulate them, and so you can just give yourself a minute to sit with yourself. Like there is no rush in this, you can give yourself some grace and some time.
So I don't see any more questions from the legitimate from our producers, but I saw one that actually really sparked my curiosity, and that's from Robert Santiago, another Jaybird. What's up, Robert? Who says, what reactions did you get from the judges upon your exit from Idol? That I'm curious about too. Did any of them ever? Because I've seen the Lithgow, Simon Lithgow, is that his name?
Yeah.
He came. I was at a
funny
show,
story about him. Go ahead, keep going.
Go. But he was at one of your shows maybe a year ago, right? And I sang at it.
Yeah. That was really cool. That was a full circle moment, because him and I had a really contentious relationship. I had ideas for song selections and for arrangements that I think were not in his. They kind of surpassed his mental ability at that time. I was looking to do some other stuff with him that would have fit my voice, which was the most important part. And when I got off the show, he wanted me to do the finale, but then I got booked on this, or he wanted me to know that it was like a day before the finale and I had to fly back, and it was like a $3,000 show, and at that point I had made no money on the show, and I said, listen, if I can't do the show, I can't show up to the finale. And he was like, fine, David, that's fine. And then 2 days later, his secretary called and said, Simon said that's fine, or Nigel said that's fine, go ahead and do the show, fly back for the finale. So it was very contentious during the finale. After the finale, him and I didn't really connect until the show that you performed at with me. And he said, I'm so sorry if I was ever not nice to you. You're very talented. You sound more beautiful than ever on this stage. And that was it. That's all I needed to hear. And it was just a great moment. And to answer this question also. Go ahead.
No.
Oh. So then when I did get voted off the show, he didn't say anything to me. This was, was contentious. But then Paula was always so sweet, gave me a big hug. We're still friends to this day.
Oh, you mean Miss Abdul?
Miss Abdul, yes. But Simon, surprisingly, was the most sympathetic person backstage. He was the first to give me a hug, and he said, David, you're so talented. I know you will. And I think I really think he meant that. The persona he played on stage was so different than who he really was, and that just you can see by all the things he's done and the groups and artists he's discovered. Like he really is a genius. And so I just, that was cool. So that's the judges' reactions to me, including Nigel.
That's fantastic. Well, David, thank you so much thank you so much for your time, because I know that you're working and it's a little later than it is where you are than it is for me here in Los Angeles.
All right.
I want to let all our viewers know that our next event is December 17th. Vibe with Pride is back December 17th. Please join us. And also, if you need more information about what we're doing here, just visit www.sdpride.org for additional information. Also, just so you're aware, SD Pride is, of course, taking any donations because, as you know, they didn't have Pride this year, as many other Prides did not. So if you're in a space and a spirit where you want to contribute back to the community, feel free to visit sdpride.org/donate to donate anything you possibly can to keep the work that they're doing going. David, I love you. I miss you. When are you coming back?
I love you. I'm back on Sunday.
Oh. I thought it was going to be
I've been here for a month and a half.
I know. Well, I probably wouldn't have. Yeah, well, I wouldn't have said it as so emphatically if I knew you were just going to be here Sunday. No,
well, you can never know if my plane might crash, so it's still good to cry all the time.
Oh my God! Oh my! See, that's what they're definitely cutting that out of the repeat.
Well, my goodness! No, but thank you for having me on the show, though. I'm honored.
Well, do you want to listen? Let's be honest. Let's just before I want to give you a proper plug. Is there somewhere people can go to, let's say they want some David merch or they want to download your music, like instruct them where to go?
Go to my website, officialdavidhernandez.com. You get constant updates. You get my Twitter feed. You get my merch store. You get all the videos. Everything is, my graphic designer, Brady Kerr, is amazing. And he has literally laid everything out in layman's terms for everybody. So there's no need to ask any questions. Officialdavidhernandez.com. He's the bomb.
That's right. And if you want to find me, I'm just at J.A.I. Rodriguez and all social media platforms with the blue check mark. And of course, I go live every day at 4:30 on my verified Facebook page. Come join me for the fun. Till then, that's it for us here on Vibe with Pride. David Hernandez, love you. I'll see you soon. Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye.